Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today people said that we have a Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger episode 39, and it's time. He's here, the big boss, the big pimpin', Mr. Wild Spender is here on Earth, and he has made a fantastic impression on me. I love this guy. I like him. I really freaking do. I knew I was gonna like him at first. I felt like he was just gonna be this big, brooding, deep voice mob boss, but no, this guy, he's got personality. He's eccentric, you know, like he's got a bunch of Michael Jackson references. Apparently he's like softly based on Michael Jackson. I mean, he got the cane, he got the monkey on the side. Like, it's weird. He's solely kind of based on Michael Jackson. I don't know if that's completely true or not. Y'all let me know. But yeah, that's how it feels. But bro is here. He's here to make a deal with the ISA director. You know, the ISA director comes and welcomes him there. We see Grants has come there has basically employed like our three idiots. And it is also praising them because they've gone through three commanders. And you know, their three commanders have all died, but they're still here trying to do stuff and trying to work for Spender and all that stuff. So he kind of like gives them his blessing and whatever, and says that, hey, you guys are gonna work under me. And he gives them an ignition key, and we get a new auto monster, which is a sponge. And he goes around putting his suds on people, and by him putting suds on people, it makes everything super slippery. And that in fact takes gasoline from people. And he also has like the ability to I guess he kidnaps people by covering them up in his suds, and then he just like falls on them. So I guess by him being a sponge, he like absorbs them into him, because you know how a sponge absorbs water and stuff like that. So I guess that's basically what his power is. But yeah, we also see Saiba has a friend that has come back home to Japan. Apparently this girl works with the ISA with her, and she is also like the right hand to the ISA director and things like that. And she also talks to Saiba, and Saiba basically says that, you know, the ISA is acting real weird. Like the higher ups are acting pretty weird lately. And she basically tells Saiba, hey, no, don't worry about it, man. Just focus on your job. You know, just focus on what you're doing and stuff like that. Let's protect humanity and mankind together, because we are the stronghold that is keeping Earth safe. And I'm just like, yeah, you in the dark too. Yeah, I already see it. I knew by the suit you got on. It's brown. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah. So we did see that. Now that Spender is here, we see that our we see that all our kids. We see that our team is basically taking on the sponge monster, and they're kind of losing to it because he's making everything slippery. And for a while we didn't see Gemba. Like, everybody was fighting except Gemba. I was like, where's Gemba at? What's he doing? And he basically tried to do one of his procure things where he brought like a chain and stuff like that. He was possibly thinking about chaining down the auto monster and stuff like that, but that didn't work. They made the chain slippery. God dang. So we see that he ends up using his power, like I said before, by like he puts a bunch of suds on top of them, and he basically jumps on them and like absorbs them or whatever. And we also see like Saiba, Bundi, and Bundario are watching this fight all go down and stuff like that. And while this is happening, we see that the ISA director has basically met up with Wild Spender, and he basically talks to him and basically gives him a car, makes all these arrangements and stuff for him so he can have like a meeting with him. But we'll get to that later. So we see that our team is fighting an auto monster. Everybody basically gets absorbed except for Taya, and Taya basically is getting beat by himself, but he ends up getting attacked by Grants, and Grants ends up destroying his boom boom changer. And since he destroyed his boom boom changer, he can't transform. So Bundi, Diesel, and Saiba, they all see this, And that's when Bundario tries to run out there and help Taya, but he can't. But Bundi stops him because he's like, hey, he's like, no, like Spender's after you. He's like, but Taya's a danger. So Saiba, she goes in and she grabs one of the extra boom boom changers and she runs off to basically go give it to Taya. So now we see that Taya is also about to get absorbed by the sponge monster. We see Saiba as he speeds in on one of the boom boom cars, and she ends up capturing the sponge monster, and she squeezes him, and she basically when she squeezes him, he pops out the other Boonboomger. But when they get popped out, they're basically in their civilian clothes, but only wearing their helmets. And a detail that we saw when he squished them, or basically absorbed them, the only thing that was left of them was their suits, and it was covered in suds. So yeah, so they're there, they're all standing there just in their helmets, but still wearing their regular clothes. So we see that Saiba runs up and she gives Taya the other boom boom changer, and basically we find out, I didn't know this at first, but you cannot drive a boom boom car without being in like a Boonboomger like suit, because I guess the boom boom cars are just like, they're super elite kind of high-tech kind of cars, and maybe just by you driving it without being in a suit, possibly like it hurts you. Maybe like the G-force and all this kind of stuff probably hurts, and I guess their suits protect them from that. So she wasn't wearing one, so she is like kind of beat up. She passes out, and then that's when Sakito takes her away. We see the team, they hitching up together and stuff like that. But all this happens after we see Taya ends up getting his butt kicked by Grants, and we see that he talks to Wild Spender. While he's talking to Wild Spender basically tells him that, yeah, like, thank you for finding my boy Boondario, how's he doing, stuff like that. He's like casually just like talking to Taya while Taya's like beat up on the ground, blood hanging out of his mouth and stuff like that. And he basically tells him that, hey, you guys want to do the you guys are trying to do the BBG, right? The Grand Prix, right? Well, like he basically says that the Grand Prix is kind of like run by the Hashirians. Like whoever wins the race, I guess, are basically at the mercy of the Hashirians. So the BBJ, the BBJ, yeah, the Grand Prix is basically ran by the Hashirians. I think that's what he was basically saying. But yeah, so he basically talks about how like there's so much war, poverty all in the world. It smells good, and by it smelling good, that means the gasoline is gonna smell good and stuff like that. Like he talks about like the bad things that are happening all over Earth, and by all those bad things happening means more gasoline, and by more gasoline he can suck up, which means when he sucks it up, it makes him immortal. Or so we are told so far, but most likely it's true. He basically sucks up all this gasoline so he can be immortal. So we also see that Grants greatly respects Wild Spender. Like he will die for Wild Spender. Like he greatly respects him. Spender gives him like props and stuff like that for taking care of all this stuff. Like they have like a villainous kind of bond, boss to right hand man type of thing. So like Gantz is definitely going to be like a really big problem, especially seeing how powerful he was in this episode, and also the last episode where he basically just waved his cape and blew them all away and back into the civilian forms at that. So after we see our team basically fighting after they fight the Suds monster, they end up beating the Suds monster, and then that's when Yadakar makes them big. We have our mecha fight, and then after the mecha fight, Bundario is like, I'm here, Wild Spender, I ain't going nowhere, I'm not running from you no more, I'm out here, come get me. So stuff like that. So but yeah, this episode basically it ends with Wild Spender, the ISA director, and Naito, who is Taya's mentor, all getting together to have this meeting with each other. And he basically talks about like, hey, before we talk about stuff, man, let's have some earth food. And we see him picking up a sushi and getting ready to eat it, but we know he can't because that is a costume. But yeah, this episode was actually pretty cool. I feel like it was a great introduction to well, a better introduction to Gdansk, and also just kind of like everything that's happening in the background coming around full circle, and now we're seeing these things actually happening like more and more, and a lot of questions are starting to get answered, but it's still a lot of foreshadowing, and even more questions are being created. But yeah, it also introduced our final villain. He's different. Like, he's very different. He has a personality. He's kind of goofy. He has like, you know, like he's kind of goofy, kind of bubbly and whatever. But he, at the same time, you know that this guy is serious. He is dead serious about what he's trying to do. Like, but he's having fun with it at the same time. And sometimes those are the coolest kind of villains. You know, those are a lot of times the villains that we kind of like the most. But sometimes. You know, but there's something they can get bad sometimes, but yeah, he's been introduced, and I'm ready to see like what he's trying to do. I can't wait to see the meeting that these, you know, three have with each other. They're most likely going to be talking about the robos, the evil robos that they've also been mass producing or trying to mass produce. But yeah, I'm wondering what kind of deal is going to be made, because it seems like the ISA director also has his own motives in the back seat, because, you know, he's basically like letting Spender basically do whatever he wants right now, and most likely is maybe we'll find a way to either beat him or have his own plan of taking him down or something like that, and possibly taking, you know, a lot of his power away from him. But yeah, we don't know what the ISA by themselves, we don't know what their overall like plan is and stuff like that. And I'm also wondering how Taiya's gonna feel when he finds out Naito is part of this, like deep in part of this. Like, he knows that, you know, the ISA and Naito are working together, but he doesn't know anything about the Wild Spender stuff to a degree. Well, them working with Wild Spender stuff to a degree, and I'm really just hoping that I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be emotional, especially when, you know, Taiya talks about it. Most likely we'll get some more backstory on Taiya and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, this episode was great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next, because it's getting good. It's getting really good, as usual. Boonboomger, I'm gonna hate it when you leave, man. I'm gonna hate it when you leave. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Bakuage Sentai Boonboomger. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, as I always say, stay henshined.